The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Hello, welcome to Love Your Body, Love Your Life TV show. My name is Jenna. I am the author of the book titled Love Your Body, Love Your Life. You can find my book on Amazon and on barnesandnoble.com. And today I am solo, so there's no guest, but I was inspired to come on and do the show by myself. So it's all me, and I will be sharing about, on the heels of last week's show, when I listened back, if anybody didn't catch that show, that was with Patty Papa. She's a medicine woman, a mother of 3, and a wife. And the conversation was just truly inspiring. And the subject of inner child came up twice during the show. And I was actually really glad that it did come up because it reminded me of how much my inner child healing has been profound in my life. Like, I can't even explain to you. It has allowed me to learn my voice. It's allowed me to connect the dots on several areas in my life. So I thought I would just kind of share a little bit of personal stuff about myself so you can kind of understand where I'm coming from. So when I was 5 years old, something traumatic happened to me. My mom and dad were actually married and divorced before I was 1. And then we all lived together till I was 5 years old. And when I was 5, my dad actually left the house. That was a traumatic event in my childhood. And I know many of you have probably gone through divorce situations before, and so you may or may not understand. But to me, because I've always been ultra sensitive, that impacted me and my heart truly, just in a major way. So I did not grow up with siblings. I do have step siblings now, but I didn't grow up with them. So I consider myself an only child. So for many years, 5 till I was 18, I actually lived with my mom. And she was a young mom. She was growing up herself. And so it was kind of like I was pretty much on my own growing up. So I had to grow up fast and faster than what I would think normal children would. So fast forward, I actually... So what I was trying to say was that I was alone a lot, right? So I was alone as a kid a lot. And my mom worked, nights and 2 jobs at one point. I stayed with my grandmother a lot. I was with friends a lot. So it was just kind of a chaotic situation. Fast forward, I'm 18 and I need to move out of the house. Financial stability was not there. So I ended up moving out and living with my high school boyfriend. Something I'm not sitting here bragging about, looking back, but I had to do what I had to do. So I moved out, and he was actually just someone that I knew could help me financially pay the rent, kind of thing. I was 18. I was actually ended up getting a full-time job, trying to go to college full-time and supporting myself, paying rent, car payment, and whatnot. The school didn't end up, panning out. I could not do everything. So I ended up just getting my real estate license, and I got, thankfully, a really good job with a realtor at the time, and I became her assistant, and I worked my way up in real estate. And that's pretty much how I got myself financially out of a situation where I needed somebody's help. So, all this to say is that when I finally got on a spiritual path and I finally was introduced to a spiritual healing modality that I've been doing for over 20 years now, the modality is called BEST, Bioenergetic Synchronization Technique. I was introduced to that modality in my, let's say, mid to late 20s. I was actually already married to my first husband. And I started doing this inner work in my mid to late 20s. Fast forward again, I'm still doing work. I divorced my first husband. I'm married to my second husband. And I'm still doing this inner work. And I finally meet my mentor, who is still in my life. She's actually the bestest person in my life today. Her name's Gina DeMasi. She is a master of this kind of work called BEST. And all of this, you guys, is in my book as well. So if you want to read about this, it's there in my book, Love Your Body, Love Your Life, which is actually right here on my table. So I'll just show it. So anyway, so I meet Gina DeMasi, and we get to work. And one of the first things that she actually recognized in me was a lot of anger. And I was like, I'm not angry. I don't feel angry. I was actually happily married at the time. My second husband, I've been divorced twice, so we were married. We had just gotten married, pretty much. And I was happy. I was, in my career, real estate, everything was doing well. So when I met with Gina and we started to work, she said, you need to get rid of this anger. And I was just like, I didn't feel angry. I didn't know where that was coming from, but I trusted the energy work that I had been doing for years. So we stumble upon this inner child healing, and I start to connect with my inner child, and with her guidance, I start to connect a lot of dots. And I started to understand where this anger was coming from. And it was from my 5-year-old, right? That was abandoned in her mind. She was abandoned. She was upset. She was really upset, and she didn't allow herself to feel those feelings that were coming up years later at, I don't know how old I was, in my 30s. So I start connecting these dots and allow myself to go there and start healing this part of myself. So why I share my story with you all is because what happened next blew my mind. Like, it truly blew my mind. I didn't completely understand what I was healing. I just knew that I trusted Gina and I trusted the work. And I took her cues and I allowed myself to, again, feel all these feelings that were kind of not taken care of when they should have been years before. And I was in this place where I was, just kind of allowing myself to go there and allowing myself to feel and processing all this new stuff that I was understanding about myself. So where I was going was that with this was why it was such a profound moment for me is because when I started to finally heal that part of myself, um, I literally, and this is no joke, would wake up at 3 in the morning and poetry would be totally flowing out of me. Like I had no idea I could write like this. Um, the poems were just like flowing out on the paper, and it would always be at 3 in the morning, from 1 o'clock to 3 in the morning. It depended on what time I went to bed that night, but anytime from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. in the morning, I would wake up and I would just have this poetry flowing out of me. Like even my husband at the time was like, "Who are you?" Like I and I was just like, I don't know. Like this is like so new to me. Like I'm just gonna go with it because obviously I felt like elated. Like I felt like elated, happy, like wow. Like I didn't understand where this was all coming from. I always say that I have another book that's already written because I have so much poetry that is just literally um in my journals and in my writing, and I just literally have like stacks of it now. And I actually have been turning some of that into songs. And my ex-husband was a musician, so we did a lot of music together, and I just really discovered this other part of myself that knew how to write, that knew how to put poetry together, that would he would give me like a topic and I would literally just write, and it would come out like, he taught me how to do a song, like songs, um, in song form. So I would then, write songs. So to say that my inner child healing was not profound, I mean, you can imagine that I was just blown away. Um, I always teach sometimes I have coaching clients or even family members that call me, and I always go back to that inner child healing that I have learned and now that I can teach other people. Um, and it's almost like I hear where they're stuck. I could hear almost like that childlike, like, oh, there's something there that was traumatic or that needs to be looked at, that they need to remember about themselves. So what happens is when we don't um, heal that some traumatic part of ourselves is that we lose that part of ourselves. We forget and we go on with life because we have to. We have no other choice, right? We have to survive. We have to, in my case, I had to move out of the house. I had to get a job. I had to go to school. I had to figure it out all on my own. So, of course, I had no time to look inward and discover this talent that I had of writing. And I believe that's how I wrote my book. I believe that now that's how I can sing, and that's how I can actually talk to you here on this show. We have a comment. It is an amazing thing when we can find a way to cope without past traumas. Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, we always find a way to cope. It's just a coping mechanism that we go forward with. So where was I going with this? So my point is that I wanted to come on today and just start talking about how you can start to heal your own inner child. I wanted to share 3 tips that you can start today and start healing your inner child. And I believe that if this show is resonating with you, or if you're listening back to a replay and it's resonating, then you know that you have some stuff to look at. So I will start with tip 1. And these are tips that like I said, I have these coaching clients that I've worked with, and we start with some breathing, what I call central channel breathing. We get into our tummy area, in our gut. We hold a lot of emotion there, and also in our heart space. so we drop down into our body and out of our head, because that's another thing that that we do, especially if we've gone through traumatic events in our life, is we tend to live from our head and not from our body. Again, another experience and what I learned about myself is that in social situations, I would tend to leave my body and just be in my head and not really kind of almost remember what happened in like a social situation, even with friends or family, even, where I would just kind of leave the situation. Like I just was like, I'm out of here. And I would be there presently, but I would be checked out. So a lot of that happens when you have gone through trauma in your childhood. That's another coping mechanism, is you actually leave the body and you just decide like, I'm here presently, but I'm not. I'm just going to check out. So what I've done with my clients in the past is I get them back into their body with central channel breath work, which is in my book. But any kind of breath work will do. A lot of breathing from the belly and just kind of getting centered. And you will feel like your body just relax and get into the moment. And that's when we start to look back. So once you've done that and you get into a space where you feel more relaxed, the first tip I would say is to basically just close your eyes and check in with your inner child. Like really imagine her at an age that pops into your mind. For example, my age was 5, but it could be any age for you: 7, 4, 10, 9, any age, 13, 18. It could be any age where you want to picture her and you just basically want to say hi, say hello. You haven't spoken for a while. Excuse me, I got to take a drink of water. So just kind of reconnect and look her in the eyes. Imagine and see her. What is she wearing? What does her hair look like? Just really get her into your mind and reconnect. Look her in the eyes and reintroduce yourself to her. Ask her what she needs to tell you in that moment. And I can guarantee you that she has something to say. I mean, it may be something that is totally ironic to you, like, let's go play, or, I'm hungry, or it may be something just total childlike, right? It's, it doesn't need to make sense so much per se. It just needs to feel right to you. Like, oh, okay, I needed to hear that. So that's the first tip, is basically just reconnect at whatever age you feel is right for you. The second tip would be to allow her to feel. There could be an array of emotions that come up. She could feel angry. She could feel sad. She could feel abandoned. She could feel neglected. She could feel sad. I don't know if I said that. She could feel happy. She could feel elated. She could feel fulfilled. Whatever the emotion is, allow her to feel that. My mentor that I talk about a lot, she, at the time when I was healing my child, she told me basically to check in every single day. Resentment, yes, resentment. Somebody typed in resentment. She could feel resentment. Whatever the emotion is, allow her to feel that and just kind of sit with it. Allow her to let you hear what she needs to say. That is huge, because when we stuff down our emotions, um, it's not a good scene, you guys. Okay, it really isn't. Like, it can really create illness in the body. You can recreate relationship dynamics that don't serve your highest purpose. In my experience, I was always looking for love outside of myself. I shared with you, I lived with a high school boyfriend at 18. I got married to my first husband when I shouldn't have really done that. My second husband, I really thought it was death till death do us part. I fell in love. I really did fall in love. But it wasn't the right thing. And, when I started to connect these dots, I realized that it still was that traumatized little girl that was looking for love outside of herself. So when we start healing and allowing ourselves to feel these emotions and actually express them, um, we start to feel lighter, feel more connected to ourselves, and you start to call in other parts of yourself that you may have forgotten. In my case, it was poetry writing and singing and songwriting and my love for music and my love for actually expressing myself. So, uber important, to say the least, to heal a part of yourself that you feel has perhaps been abandoned or neglected. Um, so I say check in every single day with your inner child, figure out what age she needs to be that day, ask her what she's feeling, ask her what she needs. There were some days when I would check in and she would be like, I want to play, like I don't want to work. I don't want any responsibility. Of course she didn't want any responsibility. She was 5 and she had to grow up by herself pretty much and figure it out. So now, years later, of course, she didn't want any responsibility. She wanted her childhood back. So she was pissed off at some days. She was pissed. And other days, she was happy, like, I'm a child, let's go. So I had to really create this relationship with her, become the parent, and pretty much tell her on some days, like, okay, we can't play right now. We have to work. We have responsibilities. At that time in my life, I was actually growing an organic skincare line that I really wanted to get off the ground. And it was like a passion of mine. So I had a lot to do and a lot to create, and I wanted to like get discovered about on. I wanted this organic skincare line to get into shops, and so I had a lot going on. Plus, I was married. I had my relationship, and I had 2 dogs that I had to take care of, and it was a lot of stuff. So, and I was going through all of this emotional healing. There was a lot going on in those years. Um, So there were days when she would not want to do anything. She just wanted to be a kid, and I had to become the parent, and I had to let her know, like, okay, we can't play today. We have responsibility, but I promise you at the end of the week on Friday or Saturday, we're going to play and we're going to do what you want to do, which could look like whatever feels right for you, right? Shopping, go for an ice cream, treat yourself to a nice lunch, a coffee, whatever it is, just not have any responsibility for a couple hours. So I say check in with her daily, ask her what she needs, allow her to feel. Um, if you want to take that further, get out your journal and start journaling all these emotions. I guarantee you, you will feel lighter. You will probably honestly lose weight because it's such a heavy situation when you have hard emotions that you do not express. Don't ever run from your hard emotions. Express them, get them out, write them on paper, go for a drive and scream at the top of your lungs, cry. If you need to tell somebody in your past something, please do that. Energetically, it's not about them. It's about you. It's about healing yourself. It's about becoming lighter with who you are. So I invite you to allow yourself to have those hard conversations, even if they're by yourself. Take a drive, look in the mirror, look at yourself, have a hard conversation with you, from you to you. Whatever you need to do to get those emotions out of your body, please do that, because you will feel amazing. Like, I'm not kidding. It's just an amazing lightness that comes over you. So yeah, I know I'm talking a lot, you guys. Please chime in with any questions. I don't know if you guys have any questions, but also maybe this is just a time to share my email. If anybody has any questions or wants to reach out to me to get on the phone and, I can walk you through some of this stuff, please email me at jennalobos@gmail.com. And I'm so happy to get on the phone with you and share more. We can go in depth into your situation. But I just want to kind of throw that out there for you guys. If I'm always available. So just so you know. The third tip that I have for you is forgiveness work. This is huge. Forgiveness work is probably a whole other show, to be honest. It's a full-on conversation. It's something that I did for years. I went down the line and just picked out people that I felt like I needed to forgive, including myself, which was huge. I needed to forgive myself for things that that I thought I didn't do right. I was judging myself. I was judging myself for moving out at 18 and living with a high school boyfriend. I was judging myself for always picking these men that would cheat on me. I was judging myself for all these things. So it's not about judgment. It's about actually loving that part of yourself. It's actually about holding that part of yourself and nurturing that part of yourself and holding space for that part of yourself, loving yourself so much that you are able to open your heart to your own self. So forgiveness work is just huge. It's huge. There's a whole list of steps that I actually teach. But for now, and for the sake of the show, I will just share one forgiveness technique that will help you feel better. And that is basically just to create a powerful affirmation. And I was just going to use Uncle John for an example. I forgive Uncle John, right? I forgive Uncle John. And you can actually just say that over and over again. I say 25 to 50 times. I forgive Uncle John. I forgive Uncle John. I forgive Uncle John. And just basically say it over and over and over again. You can lay down and close your eyes and actually picture. What I like to do is I like to picture this may be not so good of an example, but kind of like 911, or sorry, not 911, sorry, or 9/11, 9/11. I was thinking 611 in my mind. 9/11, when the towers were coming down and they were just coming down to the ground, and they were just boom, boom, boom. Everybody kind of remembers that, right? On TV, where they were just falling down. You can do the same thing with your forgiveness work. You can actually picture towers coming down and just boom, they're just gone. They're gone out of your body. That's that powerful, where you're forgiving this Uncle John. That's just an example. I forgive Uncle John. I forgive Uncle John. And all this energy is just falling to the ground because it's no longer serving you. It's actually falling out of your body. It's no longer going to be there. It's no longer going to be in your mind. It's no longer going to be in your subconscious thoughts, because a lot of times, going back to what I said, was my mentor told me, we got to get rid of this anger. And I was like, I'm not even angry. I wasn't even aware how angry I was. And that's what our protective personality does. So we can go on and we can survive. Sometimes it's unconscious, where we don't know we have this anger. Going back to, obviously, when I was 5, talking about myself, could be 8 years old for you. So anyways, forgiveness work, you guys, is huge. And you can go down the list. And that is just an example that will help you immediately. You can use that at any time, even before a family event. You can actually start doing this mantra, I forgive so-and-so, I forgive so-and-so, I forgive so-and-so. And you will walk in there lighter, more in your body, more able to speak your truth, be in your own power, be in your own body versus in your head. You can just be like, hey, this is me. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm present. I'm excited to be here. I belong here. And so there it is. So just to, let's see, I'm having this somebody. As a child, I had to care for my mentally challenged sister. Our mother worked 3 jobs to support my drunken and abusive stepfather. I still have not allowed my inner child to get past these emotions. That's huge. As a child, I had to care. How do I forgive my mother for not acknowledging her neglect for our well-being? Thank you for writing that in. First of all, I apologize that you had to go through that. Neglect is huge. You're asking me how to forgive your mom. And I think it's just, without going through the forgiveness steps, you can always reach out to me and we can do that one-on-one. But it's basically just doing what I just said, which is really getting into that 3-year-old, I think you said 3-year-old child of yours, your inner child, allowing her to feel those emotions, those neglect emotions. I'm sure there's some anger and some bitterness, and she's scared too. So just allowing her to feel all that. It doesn't happen overnight per se when you start to forgive your mom, somebody that's such a predominant relationship in your life. But you can start chipping away at that anger now. And I can only tell you that it's a profound feeling, and it's a profound situation that happens between you and your mom when you start healing you. I invite you to also look at any kind of good that came out of that situation. I am not saying that wasn't a hard experience for you. I'm not like diminishing that. But if you can just find one thing that came out of that situation that was good, I invite you to just sit with that as well. I will give you an example from my own self. I realized that the good that came out of me growing up faster than I should have was that I have this inner strength that nobody can take away from me. I learned that I can handle really, really difficult situations on my own, by myself. Not to say that I don't need other people, but I know when it comes down to it, I'm strong enough to handle heartbreak. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm strong enough to handle heartbreak. And there's an inner strength in me that I have, that I it's a knowingness. It's a knowingness that I have this inner strength. I could not have learned that if I didn't go through that when I was a kid. So I invite you to look at that situation and pick out one thing. She's writing back, I believe I became a great mother. Oh, from this experience. Oh my gosh. I want to cry. That is awesome. That is like priceless, right? Like, you are now able to be an amazing mom. I mean, that is like, that's huge. Your kids are benefiting from your experience, and that's amazing. So again, don't judge yourself so much. Don't judge the situation so much. Start doing this forgiveness work, start working with your inner child, and also kind of embody that knowingness that you're a great mom. So, oh my gosh, awesome. That's awesome. That's like amazing. That's awesome that you can look at that as something that's good that came out of that situation. So, let's see. That's it, you guys. Like, honestly, thank you. Thank you. The guest just said thank you, so I'm thanking her back. Yeah. So those are my 3 tips. I hope you took away some nuggets today. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for being a part of my show, Love Your Body, Love Your Life. I am live every Thursday at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I normally have a guest on my show. I have some great guests lined up. I have a hormone doctor coming on. I have a dating coach coming on. I have a healer coming on. So just check back on my IG for who's next on my show. But again, we're live on Thursdays at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Yeah, awesome. I'm so excited to be here and share my journey with you. Again, you can get my book, Love Your Body, Love Your Life, on Amazon and on barnesandnoble.com. Please always feel free to reach out to me. Oh, there it is. There's my book. Yeah, always feel free to reach out to me on my email, jennalobos@gmail.com. And until next time, think good thoughts. Think good thoughts. Speak kind words. Be gentle and loving to yourself and to everyone around you. And start your inner child work. Love your body and love your life. Take good care.